And Bridge of Spies is another one of my favorites. And I watched that last year when we did a couple games in Germany, and I'm in Berlin, and I'm like, you know what? I walked around the town and I saw, what East Berlin used to be and West Berlin, and took, a bike tour of the area and learned all about the history. And I'm like, you know what? I'm now going to go watch Bridge of Spies again. It's a great movie. You play Gary Powers, the airman who's right in the middle of this whole situation, having been captured by the Russians. And so what happens in this movie is incredible. What was your perspective of that? You got a good story from the set of that?
Sure. First and foremost, to Gary Powers, this guy who sat in a Russian prison for over a year. Never once said anything bad about the United States. He's a patriot through and through.
So you learned all about Gary Powers,
I did. I got to listen to hours and hours of him being interviewed about his experience, I can remember him talking about the soup that they would give him. He said it didn't quite taste like fish, but it tasted like a fish had swam through it at one point.
Interesting.
Really just a regular guy who was very good at flying airplanes, obviously, and ended up in a really bad situation, but
wound up getting swapped to come back to the United States, and the character in the film portrayed by Tom Hanks.
We filmed that scene where the swap took place on the bridge, where it actually
actual bridge. Which is not in Berlin, right?
No, it's in Rotterdam.
Okay.
If my mind can remember
it's out
that.
Of town.
Yeah. Galeikener Bridge. And it was the coldest night. It's the coldest I've ever been.
No kidding.
And I live up in Vermont. Like, I go skiing in negative 50. It's okay. This was so cold where the bridge crosses a lake, and the wind was just whipping. I have on period shoes, which means I can't put on anything more than dress socks. And at one point in the scene, I take off that hat to be identified, right? And after the scene, I go, they call cut, and I go to put my hat back on. And the gal who was doing my hair said, no, you have to keep it just like for continuity now. I have to put my hat back. It was so cold.
So did you complain to Spielberg at this point in time?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's what you do? You call Steven over? And
I
did.
Like, hey, man. Stevie. Yeah, Steve Areno, come over here, pal. I'm cold. Give me a hug. He's walking around like a burnt marshmallow. He's got on the world's largest puffer jacket. Tom Hanks actually did have sausages brought to set that night with a guy with a cart on his back.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Tom's the greatest guy going. Yeah, he's exactly who you hope he is. But during the scene, I cross paths with Mark Rylance.
Yes.
And Mark Rylance is, he's this very, as he comes off to the public, very sweet. Kind of
very unassuming.
The uncle that you'd like to have, or grandfather.
Yeah.
And every time he would pass me on the bridge, he would lean over and whisper something to me in these words: "Were filthy, terrible, not nice words," trying to get me to break every single time.
Are you serious?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very serious. Yeah, and there's some other. I don't even know if I can say that.
As you're crossing, he's trying to get you to break in the middle of this.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're watching this movie, spoiler alert, we know what happens, but but that's the best type of movie moment based on history, that what's going to happen, and you're still on the edge of your seat. So you're saying you're trying to be in this moment. It's the coldest you've ever felt. And Mark Rylance.
Here I am. I'm in a Spielberg film, and I'm shooting a TV show for Spielberg back in New York at the same time, flying back and forth week to week. So I'm really thinking that this is the actor's dream. I got to be in it. I was running 18 miles on a treadmill, day after day after day, trying to get myself to look like I had been in a prison, and losing weight, and just weak, and then there's this guy leaning over. I mean, I can't
even say the words. Just trying to get you to break.
Yeah.
And so, do
we
wanted to
see you next Tuesday kind of thing?
That's awesome.
He did use the next Tuesday word? Oh my goodness gracious. And so is there one of those takes where where he's leaning and says something to you?
It was
used in the
every
film?
take. It's one of them is if you were playing the audio. I'm sure the editor had a grand old time putting that scene together and could hear that.
Did Tom Hanks know this?
No, he's way off. He was in a warming tent somewhere.
It's a great movie, man. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.